go.
This is Good Morning Liberty.
We do have an inversion table, actually.
Yeah, that's right. Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston, and across from me is Mr. Charles Chuck Thompson, coming at you on a beautiful Tuesday morning here in Nashville, Tennessee. How's it going this morning, Chuck?
It is beautiful.
It's a great looking morning out there.
That is.
So we missed yesterday. That's my fault. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm getting old. I have a lot of back problems. Yesterday was bad enough that I couldn't even sit in a chair for like half an hour. And today I am feeling better. Still a lot of pain, but luckily I am high enough that I am able to sit here in a chair with no problems. So thanks to the doctor for caring about all the pain that I was in when I went yesterday and for taking care of me like a good doc does, you know.
Not even on like real pain pills.
I know. Hey, for a guy who doesn't, do any drugs or drink or anything, like anytime you get the opportunity to take some meds, that might as well just
my doctor
be
prescribed
high.
it.
Yeah, it's from my doctor.
Yeah.
It's fine. So there's been a little bit of news since our last episode, which was on Thursday last week. We didn't do a Friday
I was gone
episode.
Friday.
Yeah, you had to start your golf tournament on
By
Friday.
the way, yesterday was also, I'll take part at maybe 10% of the blame because I was still not feeling great from the golf tournament. And that was not because of drinking or anything. I had a few drinks, not very many. It was all from just complete dehydration.
It was just so darn hot out there. Yeah. So I
did wear my watch, and it totaled up that I burned 12,000 calories between just the 2 days.
That's great. That's super important.
And I don't think I replenished 12,000 calories. So that was I was feeling still not great, very spacey and headache. Just your normal dehydration symptoms.
You discouraged me from going yesterday when I got here, and I was like, my back hurts. And you were like, oh, let's just not do a show.
Yeah.
Let's just not do it. So it was partly your fault.
8 to 10% mine.
Yeah, that's fine. We're starting off with Representative Thomas Massie on the screen right here. Why is that happening? Well, he was out there yesterday with his Epstein Files Phase 2 binder which is great. Good on him.
He's looking great, by the way.
Yeah, he's got it going on right now.
Thomas Massie.
We're not just gonna keep rehashing the Epstein thing over and over again unless there's new news pertaining to it. Okay, we've got all of our ideas out there for you guys to go and listen to. We don't have to do it every single day or anything, but when there's new news that pertains to the Epstein thing, we'll talk about the Epstein thing. We've also got the Russiagate, the hoax, the Obama conspiracy, and then about 10 other things that Trump has clearly thrown out there to try and divide everyone's attention away from things that they don't want to talk about.
Which has kind of worked.
It has. I spend like most of my life is spent on X, and it has worked. It fully worked. Yeah. So,
by the way, I will say the latest news on this is it seems that this resolution only has like 18 signatures.
No, they haven't actually started with the signatures yet.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That part's really important. They can't actually collect signatures on it until 7 days have passed since the time that it was filed. Okay. So this is actually a really good segue into the news on this today. So on the 7th day, they can start collecting signatures. The people that have
Which
signed
is weird
on,
because that's the day God rested.
The people that have signed on are basically showing their intent to sign it when it does come up. And what Rokana, who's partnered on this with Massie, has said that all the Democrats are on board, clearly, because they think they can force some release of information that could be bad for Trump. And so they want to try and be on the right side of history now, even though they did not care over the last 4 years at all while they had a Democrat president. And so all the Democrats are going to sign on to it. And then 10 Republicans have stated that they're also going to sign on to it, meaning once it hits the 7-day threshold, they're going to be able to get the 218 signatures that are required to force this to a vote. Now, that 7th day is Thursday.
Which is recess time?
No, recess time would normally be after business on Friday. They have decided that the end of business will be tomorrow, Wednesday, and they will be entering recess on Thursday. Now,
for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, they just give people a couple extra days.
Yeah,
they're just
they've been
being
working
nice.
hard. They passed a big, beautiful bill. They deserve a break.
And so
has nothing to do with this resolution.
The news today, the information on this is that Thursday would have been the day that they could have collected signatures, and they could have, I don't know if they could have brought it to the House floor immediately, but they could have done it after the recess. And essentially, they're going to block that from happening. Mike Johnson is blocking that from happening by adjourning after business tomorrow, and Thursday won't exist.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
This is the way that works out.
I mean, it's like, this should be, if you're someone who cares about this, whatever, even if you're a Trump supporter or whatever, if you care about the information coming out, this is Congress. These are the American people's representatives. You care about our constitutional republic and all that. Even people who support Trump want the information to be released. Okay, you look at the poll numbers and all that, like 70% of the U.S. wants all the information released, and even 60-something% of Republicans want the information to be released. Now, they're not holding it against Trump. Trump's poll numbers with Republicans are actually going up during this whole process, from what we can tell. But a large majority of the American people want this to be released. And here are some members of Congress trying to force this, because the people who actually run the House and the Rules Committee and all that, the leadership doesn't want it to go through. You wouldn't have to do a discharge petition if the leadership would just go ahead and send this thing through, and they could just vote on it.
Yeah.
Instead, they're trying to circumvent the leadership of the House, which is very difficult to do. I was reading that only 3% of these discharge petitions, that's what it's called, actually make it through. And this is one that, from what it looks like, will have the votes to be able to make it through. So it's going to be in that 3%, unless they can just block it from happening. And so now their goal is going to be to go to recess. See, if they would have gone to recess after collecting the signatures on Thursday or Friday, well, the 109 or the 200 Republicans that didn't sign on to it, well, they're going to have to go back to their districts, and they're going to be holding town halls during this recess, and they would have to answer questions like, hey, why didn't you sign this discharge petition to get the Epstein files released?
Are you in them?
Yeah, what's going on here, man? Well, now that sadly they just weren't able to bring this up to collect signatures, well, they'll be able to say, well, of course, we're going to look at that when we get back from recess. That's and I think what they're going to hope is that enough stuff is going to happen over the next month, maybe enough news stories, or we'll be fully embroiled in new war, or maybe Obama got arrested during this time, something like that, that basically it's all going to die down, and people aren't going to be pushing for this hard come after Labor Day, which is when they get back from their recess. That's the plan right now.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
To take a holiday. Mm-hmm. It's like when all of Europe is off to August, Yeah. It's cheap to go to Europe in August, and that's why it's because almost all the businesses are closed when you go there. So
here's 52 seconds of Thomas Massie holding this binder, answering a couple questions.
I was wondering, with the paralysis in the Rules Committee, it seems like they're not going to be meeting again today because of the Epstein amendments. Mm-hmm. Have you chatted with anybody about that at this point?
Well, it wouldn't really matter. Their Epstein bill resolution is non-binding, so it's kind of fake. The resolution that I have co-sponsored with Ro Khanna would actually bring up legislation that would be binding on the president.
Is your understanding that will ripen the day after lawmakers get back from August recess?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have 6 days and we needed 7 days for the discharge petition to ripen before we could bring this up before the August recess. So we'll have to bring it up after the August recess. But the good news is The Speaker has no interest in keeping us here one extra day.
All right, so there we go. So they're not going to have to worry about it because they're not going to stay there for the extra day to collect those signatures. Yeah, anyone who really wants this, and to address what Magoo said in the group, I do think that people on the internet are way more into this Epstein thing than like normal people in their everyday lives. I do think that's true. But the same polls that show Trump is actually getting more popular with Republicans are the same polls that show large majorities of all Democrat, Republicans, and independents want the information to be released.
Yeah.
Those are the
crimes
same.
against children.
If you're going to cite a poll that says Trump's approval numbers are actually going up, that same poll says that 60 to 70% of each one of those groups want all of this information to be released. Now, it doesn't mean that it is their top priority. People's top priority is whether or not they can put food on the table for their family, in a house that they can afford for their family, and stuff like that, and they can safely go outside to their car, which didn't get broken into last night, and go to their job where they get paid inadequate amount of money. Like that is what people actually, that's their top priority.
And their kids have a decent school.
And good school, and they don't come back wanting to cut their wiener off because of what their teacher told them.
Yeah.
So that's like top list of top priorities. That doesn't mean that this isn't something that people want to happen, but of course, your hierarchy of needs is that you can go about your daily life and
I think
all the
why
things
it
that you
takes
need and
over the
want.
internet is because it just highlights, especially for libertarians, it just highlights the ultimate government corruption, cover-ups, lies, all the stuff we know to be true. It fuels the conspiracies, you know, and then it's just they've been on this run of promises made, promises kept. It's like, well, not.
Yeah, which I will mention again, like Trump was not real big on the Epstein files release thing. His answer was always, yeah, we'll take a look at it.
Well, but the rest of
it was everyone else in his administration that was really big on it. So with talking about Trump's promises, it was more so the other people in his administration that were super big on doing this. And libertarians are people who are, or anyone who's concerned about government power and government secrecy, they should care about this a lot, because we could in fact be like a discharge petition away from finding out some really crazy things that would cause the public to fully distrust their government in the way that they should distrust their government at all times. And so that it could be a really important moment if it were to get released. I'm skeptical if there is anything like that that's in there. I mean, we talked about it on Thursday, and from what I can tell, we were actually the first. I mean, whatever. From what I can tell, we were like the first people to say Trump just admitted that he was in the files, and that's why they're holding this whole thing back. I ended up hearing breaking points to a thing about it. No lie with, lies with Brian Liar Cohen ended up talking about, or Kyle Kulinski ended up posting the same video saying Trump just admitted that he was in the Epstein files. And I'm like, yeah, you must have listened to our show on Thursday morning, because that's what we were talking about. When you go back to that phone call, he clearly says that all the stuff that we found was fake with me, meaning they have gone through the files and found a bunch of stuff about him, and he is saying that it is fake. And I think that that's why that's a really big reason they're getting held back. Something that hasn't changed is Trump absolutely hates Thomas Massie. Yeah, and so this is weird. This happened like not too long after Massie had posted about his discharge petition. I don't know if they're related, but you got Thomas Massie up there holding the binder, says Epstein Files Phase 2, and talking about forcing the disclosure of all of this information. And then you got Trump going after Thomas Massie. Yeah, gets attacked. Yeah. So apparently there's a Fire Thomas Massie truth account. Yeah. Because Trump looks like he tags that and says, Thomas Massie, the worst Republican congressman, and an almost guaranteed no vote each and every time, is an embarrassment to Kentucky. He's lazy, slow-moving, and totally disingenuous.
A real loser. Never has anything positive to add. Looking for someone good to run against this guy, someone I can endorse and vigorously campaign for.
If they can just find someone like his favorite Senator Lindsey Graham to go in there and run against Thomas Massie, he can throw them their endorsement. Basically,
a true constitutionalist, Lindsey Graham.
A really good Republican that never saw a war he didn't want to get into, never saw a dollar he didn't want to spend on something. That can maybe get Trump's endorsement. Yeah. Let's see. So I have a CNN article about this whole thing not coming up to a vote, but we pretty much already explained that. And so we'll talk about the Russiagate Obama stuff that came out. You've probably already heard plenty of people talk about it and many of the other things because we missed Friday and then there was a weekend and then we missed Monday. And so sorry if you've already heard other people talk about this entire thing.
I'm not sorry.
I have heard some people speculate that some of this other news is intended to distract people from what was a really big story, which was case closed on the Epstein files. Now, there's another thing that happened that people ended up hanging up their mission accomplished banner after, which is that they're going to try and get a federal court to unseal the Epstein grand jury testimony. And people said, see, we told you, don't be a panican out there. Trump's going to do the right thing. The DOJ is going to do the right thing. If you bailed on Trump before this and now see, we were right this whole time. The issue about that is whatever is in the grand jury testimony is going to be like 0.5% of the information that the DOJ actually has. Mm-hmm. It's the bare amount of stuff they could present.
It's breadcrumbs.
It's the smallest amount of things they could present to get a grand jury to indict Epstein, which you could, I don't know what the saying is, but you get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. Mm-hmm. Is one of the old sayings out there. Like they'll do it because you're not sending someone,
especially if it's missing mayonnaise. I mean, that's
so you can't even do that.
No,
it's
can't even call it a ham sandwich.
So like this is good. There could be some information in this grand jury testimony that we could hear from some of the victims.
I will speculate and say it's going to do is lead to more questions.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
Yeah, I don't know
until we have the answers.
Like I don't know if in the grand jury testimony,
my thing is like if it's a big nothing burger, just release it.
Yeah,
I mean if you want to talk about the administration moving quickly, literally the stroke of a pen, just release. Signed.
All the files. Now, grand jury testimony is under its own secrecy laws. It's actually very difficult to get grand jury testimony released, and it's actually highly likely that after the months it takes for them to decide if they can release the grand jury testimony, that the judge is going to decide that they can't release it. And then the Trump administration...
because you have hearings, lawyers go back and forth arguing why they should, why they shouldn't.
Grand juries have their own secrecy laws. It's going to take months for them to decide if they can release it. And it's actually a very small percentage chance that they'd be able to release it without Congress acting on the whole thing, basically. And that actually gives the administration a pretty good out, too, because they can say, well, we tried. This darn judge appointed by Obama... said we
doesn't want to unseal it.
Said we couldn't release it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unfortunate. We really tried to do it, and so that's one thing that I think took people off of the Epstein files trail. The other thing, of course, was the big revelations about the Russia hoax.
Mm.
And what everyone listening right now needs to understand was that this was a hoax. And this was a hoax perpetrated by the deep state and Democrat politicians and lawmakers against Trump. It did take up like the first 3 years of his presidency, wasted a lot of time and money dealing with this whole thing, probably caused us to spend hundreds of billions of dollars helping Ukraine fight a war against Russia, might have even led to that war, actually. Could have led to hundreds of thousands of people dying or getting maimed in a war because we created this big bad boogeyman of Russia who installed Putin's puppet dictator over America and caused half of the country to hate, to see Russia as synonymous with Trump. And so when the Ukraine thing happened, they were like, well, yeah, we got to fight back against Russia because Russia is who gave us Trump in the first place. And that's all true. And the people who did this need to be brought to some kind of justice. Are they going to be able to do that? Maybe.
I mean, they kind of set the precedent by going after Trump.
They did go after Trump. And
he's a felon, remember?
From what I hear, the SCOTUS ruling on presidential immunity doesn't cover Obama, maybe because it wasn't his official presidential duties. I don't know. I didn't really read into that, but I saw plenty of people saying that he wouldn't be covered by the presidential immunity thing. So Tulsi Gabbard comes out, I believe, Friday night and releases this big statement, and she goes on all the news channels,
it's just
does all that.
Obviously, it's weird timing. It could be a coincidence. It could absolutely be a coincidence. It's just weird timing.
I'm sorry. All this stuff is important. All this stuff is true. It's not a coincidence.
Oh, I know.
I've heard plenty of people say like, oh, this sort of seems like no, it's what they're doing. They are trying to give the people, especially people online and the people going on news channels, something else to talk about. It's not a coincidence. This is what they are doing.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm leaving room to be wrong.
Yeah, you're not.
No, I know.
They were not. If the Epstein thing had not blown up over the couple weeks before that, this information was not about to be released on Friday night of last week. It was not.
No.
I'm going to come right out and say it as if I know the people involved. I'm just telling you right now. To show you, there's a good clip of some news clips going around on X I saw. And before we get into what Tulsi released in a tweet thread and what she said on the news, listen to this little montage of all of the news channels talking about Russia hacking our election.
Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes. Russia hacked the election.
Fact, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
The president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
President Trump says he still wonders if the Russians hacked the election.
If you can get him to accept that Russia hacked the election, see if you can get him to accept who won the Civil War.
If he admits it, it casts a shadow on his victory over Hillary Clinton.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Let's be clear, Russia hacked the election.
Definitively, Russia hacked the election, and Russia is doing it again now.
Election-related cyber hacking.
Cyber hacking of U.S. elections. Cyber hacking of the election.
Russia was cyber hacking the election.
Russia was cyber hacking the election.
The CIA, the FBI, NSA.
All of these intelligence organizations.
17 intelligence agencies.
All conclude that Russia hacked the election.
If we find out that Donald Trump just theoretically was colluding with Russia while they were hacking the election, that is completely impeachable.
This dossier alleged a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russian effort to hack the election.
The director of national intelligence, the head of the National Security Agency, the head of the FBI, all of these intelligence experts saying Russia hacked the election.
The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper.
Now, after this, are you going to play the apology montage?
We'll see.
Of all these anchors?
We'll see. All right, let me back this up. This is the best one.
James Clapper. I mean, they've all said this. So to believe that that's wrong, you have to believe they're all involved in an elaborate conspiracy to get Donald Trump, which seems a little far-fetched to me.
That's the best one. All right. Thank you to the Media Research Center. I think that's what MRC stands for putting together that. They must just have like every news channel at all times in a file where they can word search every single thing
they
that's
have a
ever
whole
aired
team
on the news.
backing them up, just making clips.
They got the whole thing in there. I mean, if we had all of them on a hard drive and you could just word search, the videos, it wouldn't be too hard to put all that together. But good job from them doing that. Now, this might sound a little different when you go through some of the documents that were released by Tulsi Gabbard. I'm gonna come right out and just say right now before I forget. Tulsi says that there will be more information, more details released on this week.
Phase 2? This is just phase 1.
This is phase 1 right now.
Tulsi says there's a phase 2 coming. This week?
This week.
It's on her desk.
That was said.
She said it was on her desk?
And then she's going to say next week, oh, there are no details on this, actually. That's really weird. No, I believe her, and I hope, I believe her. I hope that it's true that there's going to be more details because just given the documents that are released so far, I don't see the evidence that's going to put Barack Obama in prison or anything. I don't see that. What I see is a lot of talk about how we're going to be able to do that, but I haven't seen the actual details of Obama directing them to create this fake narrative. There was a response email saying, like, per the president's request, we're creating this thing, but I haven't seen there's plenty of other reasons for Obama to be in prison too. Let's just get that out of the way. Like, I'm fine with it, and if he was directly involved with the whole Russia hoax, yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I'm sure he was. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm saying I haven't seen what's going to prove him guilty in a court of law yet, but Tulsi says more details are going to come out. Here's what we have so far. She says, Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016 intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic.
Which, by the way, that is called treason.
Yes.
Which is an offense.
Well, like, they framed him for treason, and in the process, they're committing treason.
Yes.
while they're doing this. So she puts out they put together this nice graphic that's really nice. I appreciate that. So just to give you an overview.
That's commie red, it looks like.
To give you an overview here at the top, this is the creation of the Russia hoax. Next thing down says the real intel assessment, which was Russia and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting cyber attacks on infrastructure.
Why would they create a memo like this?
Well, I think first off, this
this is like the people who came up with it.
Oh,
like this was the PDF they created and passed around.
Like, we found this graphic.
We found this graphic.
We lined it all out.
It's been declassified.
Did everyone get your creation of the Russia hoax memo? All right. Did everyone know your job? Cool. That's cool. After that, Donald Trump wins the 2016 election. Then on December 9th, they have a secret Russia meeting. Obama officials meet to plan the Russia hoax. December 9th, it says Obama order the intelligence community begins outlining a new assessment to claim election was hacked. December 8th, there was a president briefing, PDB, as we're going to call it, as we're reading these documents, presidential daily briefing, that was pulled. The intelligence community pulled the product that contradicts the Russia hoax narrative the day before this December 9th new outline. And then we get leaks to the press after these things are created, like the Washington Post headline that says secret CIA assessment says Russia was trying to help Trump win White House. New York Times, Russian hackers acted to aid Trump in election. NBC News, U.S. officials, Putin personally involved in U.S. election hack. And then we have, it says on here, fake weaponized assessment. They suppressed that prior intelligence showing that Russia lacked intent and capability to hack the election. Okay. All right, we'll go through some of that. For months preceding the 2016 election, the IC shared a consensus view. Russia lacked the intent and capability to hack U.S. elections. But weeks after President Trump's historic 2016 victory, defeating Hillary Clinton, everything changed.
Everything changed.
So on August 31st, highlighted here, it says, we are working with CIA on a presidential daily briefing submission on the threat. The thrust of the analysis is that there is no indication of a Russian threat to directly manipulate the actual vote count through cyber means. September 9th, the lead author of the presidential daily briefing says, we agree with Russia probably is not and will not trying to influence. That's not a good use of parentheses there. It's supposed to read either with or without what's in the parentheses, as a coherent sentence, but that's not. Anyhow, Russia's probably not and will not trying to influence the election by using cyber means to manipulate computer-enabled election infrastructure. December 7th, we got DNI Clapper talking points, who should have gone to prison anyway for lying to Congress about the bulk collection of Americans' data. He said not wittingly. No, they are not collecting those things. Accidentally collecting those things, maybe, but not wittingly at all. That was Clapper, right? I'm not just
that was Clapper.
Okay, all right, making sure.
He lied several times.
Activity on and since Election Day, we assessed that foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome this year. We have no evidence of cyber manipulation of election infrastructure intended to alter results. So that's what we have on December 7th. On December 8th, this is back to what Tulsi's saying. December 8th, 2016, IC officials prepared an assessment for the presidential's daily brief, finding that Russia did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting cyber attacks on the infrastructure. Before it could reach the president, it was abruptly pulled based on new guidance, I believe. Yeah. So we have December 8th. Here's for the presidential daily brief. We assessed that Russian criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. And then later on, we say, based on some new guidance, we are going to push back publication of the daily brief. It will not run tomorrow and is not likely to run until next week.
Not based on new information, but nothing like that. New guidance.
Yeah. Yeah, based on new guidance.
So what was that guidance?
So the next day, top national security officials, including FBI Director James Comey, John Brennan, CIA, DNI James Clapper, gathered at the White House to discuss. Obama directed the IC to create a new intelligence assessment that detailed Russian election meddling. So it says down here, the IC is prepared to produce an assessment per the president's request that pulls together the information we have on the tools Moscow used and the actions it took to influence the 2016 election, an explanation of why Moscow directed these activities, and how Moscow's approach has changed over time, going back to 2008 and 2012 as reference points. DNI will lead the effort with participation from CIA, FBI, NSA, and DHS. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated for the whole here's the thing that puts Obama in prison. This is the actual thing that we have connecting to Obama right now. The IC is prepared to produce an assessment per the president's request that pulls together all of this information. Now, the problem is Russia did try to hack election systems. That part is not really disputed. That they did try. They were scanning websites. They did make it into one database in Illinois, I'm pretty sure. And we know that they were doing other things online, like running Facebook ads, memes, disinformation, stuff like that. Yeah, different bots, all that. And so they were trying to affect the election outcome. And what they did find is that the things that Russia did say online were in an effort to hurt Hillary Clinton or help Donald Trump. And so this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because the information that they could say they pulled together after the president's request is true, that Russia did try to do these things, and they did do these things online, and they were doing it in an effort to help Trump in the election, okay? And that's essentially the information that we end up getting. Now, those things didn't affect the election. Those memes and stuff that got like 200,000 views and stuff like that, like they didn't do anything to actually affect the election. But as we saw, as we remember, that idea worked in the media for like 3 years or more.
Yeah.
I mean, even more than that even.
Well, and the IC was saying before this president's request, this new guidance, so to speak, that that Russia tried a bunch of things, but it had no material effect, basically.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying.
Yeah.
It's like, look, they tried some stuff, but there was no, like, they weren't able actually to really get in, and what they were trying to do is really steal data. They weren't trying to really change things. It didn't work. We were able to stop them, essentially. There was no real cyber threat.
Yeah.
But they kind of switched.
My question would be, are we going to get information? Tulsi says there's going to be more information that comes out this week or whenever it's on her desk, as Charlie said. Are we going to get information that they knowingly lied in some of their reports? Because I don't know if creating a narrative is going to get someone put in prison. Like, they could say just this bone dry talking point of like, yeah, we don't have any evidence that they manipulated vote totals. You know, they didn't officially like really hack any of our stuff. They tried. They didn't actually get into anything, weren't able to actually do anything. And so that's it. And so then you take that and Obama is like, well, yeah, but that's not cool for us to release. What I really want you to release is all the stuff that they tried to do and who they tried to do it for. And what did they? Were there memes? You haven't talked about the memes. And so can we put all of that stuff together into information for Russia trying to affect our election outcomes in order to help Donald Trump, and connect that with this Steele dossier that says Trump was working for Russia. And by the way, we all know that's fake. We all know Clinton, paid for that whole thing. We all get it. And we spied on his campaign illegally just because we wanted Clinton to win the election. And so I just want you to put that together and use the Steele dossier and start leaking it to the press. Okay. So are we going to get that transcript? That's
in Obama's voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my question. Because the next evidence we have is that the intelligence community starts leaking things to the Washington Post. And so here are some cutouts from an article here. Though Russia has long conducted cyber spying on U.S. agencies, companies, and organizations, this presidential campaign marks the first time Russia has attempted through cyber means to interfere in, if not actively influence, the outcome of an election, the officials said. Now, they did not say that they affected the outcome of the election. They did not say that they successfully hacked voter databases and changed numbers.
Attempted.
They said that this marks the first time Russia attempted to interfere in the election.
Or influence
the election that they know of. I doubt it's the first time Russia attempted to do something like that. The CIA has concluded in a secret assessment that Russia intervened in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump win the presidency rather than to just undermine confidence in the U.S. electoral system, according to officials briefed on the matter.
Now, that's a little more straightforward. Concluded.
A little bit.
That Russia intervened.
That they intervened. They didn't successfully intervene, but they did intervene. It's just no one cared because they didn't do it successfully. What I'm saying is right now, I'm not seeing the there, and I'm hoping that Tulsi has got some more ironclad evidence of people like Obama or Clapper or Comey or anyone else saying to write this up because that is going to hurt Trump, and that's what we need to do. And so I would like to see that in an email or whatever somewhere, and then I would ask, why did no one during Trump's first administration find any of this stuff, which has been there the entire time?
Right.
And,
you think that would be released then?
While the Russia hoax is happening?
Right.
And you're like, oh, this is a hoax. And you're like, oh, well, yeah, it just happened last year. It's actually still on that guy's desk. He didn't clean it up when he left. It's right there. It says the Russia collusion hoax right here at the top.
Right. Release it then. Then you wouldn't have been impeached. My favorite one was the last one, though, if you could go back real quick. U.S. intelligence officials now believe with a, quote, high level of confidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin became personally involved in the covert Russian campaign to interfere in the U.S. presidential election, senior U.S. intelligence officials told NBC News. This is all the way around. It's a way to get out of it.
They're not
the
saying...
officials now believe with a high level of confidence. I believe with a high level of confidence this entire thing being released is just to distract from the current Epstein thing.
Just to be clear, though, once again, this stuff is super important, and this is a treasonous attempt to, if you want to use the word coup or whatever, but to destroy someone's presidency by an outgoing administration and people that are actually running the deep state. Like, this is all super important, and that's why it's the best thing to release at a time if you're trying to please people who want to go after the deep state, because that is what this is.
Just not for their crimes against children, their crimes against Trump.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's a crime against our democracy or our constitutional republic or whatever. And
our dear leader.
And it should be found out.
Yeah.
You know?
There is a good point Magoo is making, though. He's saying from the live group, joingml.com. He's saying because the same people, in effect, were in his administration, which is kind of true. You had some of the same people, John Bolton, and you had...
You're saying like the deep state was in his administration.
Yeah, John Brennan.
He picked some of the wrong people. There is one problem there is that wasn't Ratcliffe, who was the director of the CIA, was he not the director of national intelligence in Trump's first administration, or am I making that up? Yeah, so we do have one holdover from that first administration. He was ODNI or DNI in the first administration and is running the CIA in this administration. And so maybe
isn't that a downgrade?
To ask him a few questions, it technically, well, I would say on paper it's a downgrade.
Yeah.
You get to do more stuff if you're running the CIA versus just running the office of the, that oversees all these people. You probably get to do more cool stuff, and you get to be in the know about all the coup attempts that you're running around the world, and so that's cool. But,
which is fine for us to do, not good for Russia.
Yeah. It's not good for them. So my big hope here is that Tulsi comes out with some more stuff. That's the bottom line here. I know everyone's super excited. I saw, all the people online, and I spend way too much time online. I get it. But so many people saying, like, arrest Obama for treason. This is treason. This is, all right, we need the transcript of the Oval Office conversation where Obama said to make up a bunch of stuff about ties to Russia, where he knew that the Steele dossier was fake and they went ahead and used it anyway, where he knew that they shouldn't be spying on Trump's campaign because there weren't any real ties to Russia, but they did it anyway so they could help Clinton. They need stuff like that. If you want to perp walk Obama, then you're going to need him directing people to knowingly lie about things in order to hurt Trump. That's what you're going to need, and we don't have that yet. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I know it. I know it happened. Like, I know it in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It happened. I believe you. I'm with you guys that it happened.
With a high level of confidence.
Yes. I believe that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't it yet. We got to get more evidence. Okay, So in order to get more evidence, here's my suggestion. Let's all push really hard for the Epstein files. And then we should be able to get them to release the rest of the information for the Russia collusion hoax, Obama-Russia hoax. And then that's how we're going to finally take Obama down, is if we could all come together to push for the Epstein files.
And they'll release more.
And we will get Obama in prison by the end of this year.
You heard it here first.
That's what we're going to do.
Well, if y'all enjoyed today's episode, share it around with a friend, a family member, or foe. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to GodHatesFeds.com. GodHatesFeds.com. Pick up some merchandise. There's a button you could click on there also that says Join GML. Or travel via the web to joingml.com. Be part of the Fed Haters Club. That's the place where we talk about what's really going down at joingml.com.
Yeah.
Visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show. If you do all of that, we'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning liberty.